Good, Good Friday is a reminder of how wrong our world has gone. We've constantly taken beautiful things and we've used them for evil. I mean, in our world today, we can look around and we know that businesses abuse people to make as much money as possible. Government officials constantly abuse their power to further their personal agenda in different parts of the world. Kings and dictators care little for those beneath them as they pursue expansion and control. But it's not just them. It's not just others. Oh no. See, you and I are just as guilty. See, we've taken our ability to speak and we've gossiped about our neighbors. We've told slight lies or variations of the truth to make life easier or to save face. Sometimes we'll choose against offering help when we have the means to do so because it doesn't fit our schedule or our mood. We've thrown others under the bus to protect our image. image. We refrain from standing up for others to protect our pride. Each one of us has in some way taken good things, good opportunities that God has created and given us, our very words and bodies even, and used them for things that we know are not good. We know they do not reflect the one who made everything. See, Good Friday is a sobering reminder of how deeply broken our world has become. We've taken what is beautiful and we've twisted it. We've taken what is good and used it for harm. The ancient Jewish king who wrote in Psalms 53, King David wrote, "Everyone has turned away, all have become corrupt. There is no one who does good, not even one." No matter how hard we try, we still see fractures and brokenness in ourselves. Even when God sent His very best, we did as we have always done. Manipulated for our benefit what we can and then rejected the rest. See, Jesus spoke no wrong. He did no wrong. He did no evil. In fact, He wasn't even just somebody that minded their own business and lived a good life. He stepped out and He met people in their needs. He healed them. He lifted up people that society rejected. He cared for people that others cared not to be around. And yet, Jesus would bear the weight of humanity's brutality. When those bent on Jesus' silence and death arrived to arrest Him by the cover of night, even His disciples failed their teacher, His closest followers and friends. When Jesus asked them to pray, they slept. From the account that we believe to be told by Peter, Mark wrote in his self-titled book, Mark 14:37, "Then He returned to His disciples and found them sleeping. 'Simon,' He said to Peter, 'are you asleep? Couldn't you watch for 1 hour?' At His unjust arrest, all His followers left. Another disciple, Matthew, wrote, "In that hour Jesus said to the crowd, Am I leading a rebellion that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat in the temple courts teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled." Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. And the failures by all those around Jesus would continue. Peter would deny knowing Jesus. The high priest, meant to be a representative of God, would declare God to be blasphemous. The crowds would choose an insurrectionist and a murderer over Jesus. The whole crowd shouted, "Away with this man! Release Barabbas to us!" And the Roman governor, knowing Jesus' innocence, would bow to the people's will and condemn Jesus to death. Jesus was betrayed. He was mocked, deserted, beaten, and crucified. All because of our selfishness, our brokenness. At the forefront, all we see is sorrow, pain, and death. And yet behind this beautiful, or this terrible moment in history, there is incredible beauty. See, behind the sorrow, there is joy. Knowing what was ahead, this is what Jesus said to his disciples the day before he died. "In a little while, you will see me no more, and then after a little while, you will see me." At this, some of his disciples said to one another, "What does he mean by saying, 'In a little while you will see me no more, and then after a little while you will see me, and because I am going to the Father?'" They kept asking, "What does he mean by a little while? We don't understand what he is saying." And behind the frustration of not knowing, which I think we can say we feel all too often, Jesus knew what was ahead, and he had an incredible plan in place. Jesus saw that they wanted to ask him about this, so he said to them, "Are you asking one another what I meant when I said, 'In a little while you will see me no more, and then after a little while you will see me'? Very truly I tell you, you will weep and mourn while the world rejoices. You will grieve, but your grief will turn to joy. A woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come. But when her baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born into the world. So with you, now is your time of grief. But I will see you again, and you will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy." Behind the sorrow of losing a teacher, a friend, the one whom all hope was in, there was incredible joy. Behind the pain, there was healing. As people watched and inflicted the excruciating pain Jesus experienced, God offered healing. As people cruelly entreated Jesus to heal himself, saying, "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross, and we will believe him." In the midst of those words, as pain was at the forefront, beauty and healing were in the background. The prophet Isaiah spoke of this moment 650 years before it happened to tell us what God was up to. "Surely he took our pain and bore our suffering, yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him. And by his wounds, we are healed. See, behind the pain that Jesus experienced, he was offering to heal our broken hearts and our minds and to renew all who called upon him. And as Jesus hung on that cross, and all those around were faced with nothing but death, we read in Mark's account, at noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m. And at 3 p.m, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? Then some of those standing near heard this. They said, listen, he's calling Elijah. Someone ran, filled a sponge with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to take him down, they said. With a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last. When death had devoured all hope, when death had taken the author of life, when it all seemed over and all for nothing, we know that behind this death, there was life ready to swallow the grave. Paul wrote to a church in Thessalonica, he died for us so that whether we are awake or asleep, we may live together with him. See, the reality of today is that if we let it, Jesus' treatment and execution puts us face to face with the worst of it all. We stare at the cross, we read the story, and if we let it, it will put us face to face with the worst of humanity. All the pain, misery, brokenness, heartache, hopelessness, insecurity, shame, evil, and all its effects remind us that they have and continue to do tremendous harm to you, to me, and to our world. And yet, as it fights to take center stage, as it desires to consume our minds and our hearts and cripple us with hopelessness, the true beauty of what Jesus was up to lingers in the background. It whispers behind the screaming, and it begins to come forward. And you and me are invited to hold tight to the cross, to know with full assurance that there is hope, that the beauty in the background has burst into our world. And one day, all that Jesus did on the cross, behind the scenes, will be revealed in a beautiful display, where tears are wiped away, sorrows are turned fully and finally to joy, and all who turn to Jesus are healed, and death itself is undone and reversed. And you can choose to follow Jesus today. He's ready for you. He hears the prayers of your heart. And until the day when Jesus returns, we proclaim that Jesus was crucified. Paul, though oftentimes we put him on a high pedestal sometimes, He wrote much of what we call the New Testament, did incredible things. And yet, Paul referred to himself as the worst of sinners. See, Paul knew his brokenness, but he also knew what Jesus had done. So it was his honor to share with all those who followed Jesus the communion meal. Paul wrote to a church in Corinth, "For whenever you eat this bread and you drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until He comes." As we prepare for communion, we are proclaiming what we remember here today, that Jesus died for us. An ancient poem written around 1,000 years before Jesus died and rose again. A poem written by an ancient Jewish king, King David. Inspired by the Spirit of God, he was able to speak about what God was up to before it was even realized. And I read for you that poem this morning. Psalm 23. And I want to read the last two verses again. He says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." This is the table that he was speaking about. The table that Jesus prepared in the presence of his enemies. That through his death, he would invite you, invite me, invite all who would come to eat and drink. As the music team comes forward, we're going to prepare to do just that. On the day that we remember his death, is Good Friday. The hope of the resurrection ready to burst forth from the background lingers. And we take a moment to proclaim, with the juice that we drink and the crackers that we eat, that Jesus did die. He died for you and me. For those who did not know him, those who mocked him, those who denied him. He died for you and me. In a moment, we are going to pass around the crackers and the juice. If you wish to proclaim with us that Jesus died and that he is your King, I invite you to take them with us. Hold on to them, and we will take them together. And if you need a gluten-free option, they are available in the little cups with the juice as well. So please take one of those if you need. And as they are passed around, let's join in song and receive the emblems as we remember what Christ has done.